State regime media, which calls itself Fox, has been in complete collapse mode as Donald Trump's trip to China has been an utter failure. So state regime media has been running segments like this one right here on the Laura Ingraham show. She brings on this guy Arroyo as a guest, and they both say, wow, do you see how dominant Donald Trump was in his handshake with Xi? Watch as Donald Trump gives Xi's hand a little swat. Such dominance. Dude, what are you talking about? Here, play this clip.
Yeah, you know, I did see it, Laura, and people online were saying Xi dominated Trump in that closing moment of their summit because of the handshake. But look at what Trump does. He gives Xi's hand, a little swat to diminish whatever that dominant move was at the top. Trump is very aware in these settings of how here he goes in for the swat. He always is very aware of these images and how those images define these historic moments. And you could see him, look, the pat on the shoulder, all the dominant moves to counter Xi. I think the online commentary was a little off on this moment.
Yeah, well, also, Trump just looked really relaxed. He didn't seem at all tight. And, I mean, did you notice if Xi ever moved his face? I mean, his face does not move. Yeah. It's like immovable. It's like Trump on tariffs. Yeah. It's like Trump on tariffs.
And earlier...
So Donald Trump basically gave away our semiconductor chips, gave away any negotiating leverage regarding Taiwan, gave away any negotiating leverage around prisoners who America wants released from China, gave away all economic leverage, but he swatted Xi Jinping. What are you talking about? And then fortunately, you had Jessica Tarlov on Fox, who's like one of their only good hosts on the show. She points out that Donald Trump is making at least $220 million last quarter alone selling stocks, to which Jesse Waters, the Fox propagandist, goes, so did I. Didn't we all make that amount of money? No, the American people are suffering. People can't afford things. We have the highest credit card delinquency rates in history, the highest student loan delinquency in history, all-time low consumer confidence right now. What are you talking about? This is what they're saying on Fox as Donald Trump's trip was an utter failure. Here, play this clip.
But we just saw that Donald Trump in Q1 made at least $220 million of purchases in stocks. Paramount, Netflix, Warner Brothers, Palantir.
So did I. Everyone's buying those stocks.
But you're talking. He should not be able to do that. You want to talk about Nancy Pelosi's Talenti gelato drawer? Okay, and you don't care what's going on here?
I think it's important to point out also that they cannot get this stuff passed on Capitol Hill. People show up to Capitol Hill.
He just said, oh, that's a good point.
No, that's not what I said. I said, I like your glasses.
You did not. They are great
beautiful glasses.
Your glasses are great, but also can we talk about the fact that Capitol Hill cannot get it together on insider stock trading and all that kind of stuff. So many of them show up
he's
there.
The first president to
show up there, and they're thousandaires, and they leave as millionaires in a way on a salary that doesn't make a lot of sense. So
$3 billion in a year.
You don't even have to ask me a question.
Then one of the things they do at Fox is just they assume if you speak loud and you behave obnoxiously, you can then drown out logic. No, because people know you are con artists. No one's buying this shtick. But I want you to watch as Greg Gutfeld, one of Fox's hosts, he starts saying, look, you libs are so delusional. You libs love ballrooms. You just want taxpayers to pay for the ballrooms. When taxpayers aren't paying for it, I don't even know what you're saying. Here, play this clip.
Right. First things first, a Democrat gets into power and then gets rich. Trump was rich before he got there, and he's actually making less money. So your obsession over his profiting is a delusion. It's what you hear. First you say, here's how they're profiting. Then you switch to his foreign policy priority, where he's saying Iran is more important right now than the gas prices. That was your justification. Then you move back. It was so convoluted. Look, libs have obsessions over things like ballrooms when taxpayers aren't paying for it. Meanwhile, as Jesse points out, and I got to make this clear because this is going to come back, there is a pattern of abuse.
More from Tarlov pointing out Donald Trump's grift right here. And I want you to watch as Gutfeld basically admits, yeah, so what's wrong about using your presidency to profit and make billions of dollars? Watch this. Let's play this clip.
But we just saw that Donald Trump in Q1 made at least $220 million of purchases in stocks, Paramount, Netflix, Warner Brothers, Palantir.
So did I. Everyone's buying those stocks.
But you're talking.
He should not be able to do that. You want to talk about Nancy Pelosi's Talenti gelato drawer?
Okay,
and
but,
you don't
but
care
speaking of
what's
Nancy
going
Pelosi,
on
I
here?
think it's important to point out also that they cannot get this stuff passed on Capitol Hill. People show
Shannon,
up to
it's
Capitol
done.
Hill.
He just said, "Oh, that's a good point."
No, that's not what I said. I said, I like your glasses.
You did not.
said
They
these
are
are
great
beautiful
glasses.
glasses.
They were my
Glasses are great,
dad's.
but also can we talk about the fact that Capitol Hill cannot get it together on insider stock trading and all that kind of stuff. So many of them show up
He's
there.
the first president
They
to
show
do
up
this.
there and they're thousandaires and they leave as millionaires in a way on a salary that doesn't make a lot of sense. So I'm
$3
talking
billion in a year.
You think I could? You don't even have to ask me a question.
And then as Fox was in full collapse mode, you had Democratic Congress member Ro Khanna going on Fox and bringing the fight directly to Fox hosts. So you had Maria Bartiromo, who tried to, she thought that she was going to act all tough and she was going to, get Ro Khanna. But Ro Khanna, cool, calm, confident, pushed back. And Donald Trump told Maria Bartiromo to do this interview, right? Because remember, Donald Trump said that Jackie Heinrich, who did the interview last Sunday, was too weak. So Trump called Bartiromo and arranged this and had Bartiromo invite Ro Khanna on. And Bartiromo got destroyed by Khanna. Let's watch what goes down.
Story. We just did the story in New York, how Kathy Hochul is moving the threshold down. You're going to pay a pied-à-terre tax if you have a second home in New York, not if your house is worth $5 million. No. Your house is valued at $1 million. Then you're going to pay a pied-à-terre tax if you have a second home in New York. Do you agree with that?
Yes, because you know what I believe, Maria,
Yes.
that the economy in this country is unfair and lopsided. Too few people, including in my district, which is 20 trillion.
Pay 45% of the tax in New York. The top 1% pay the majority of taxes in this country. You know it, and I do.
Maria, let me say this, and you may agree with me. Look, you can't have a country where a few people in a few places control the majority of the nation's wealth. That's not a democracy, and it's not sustainable. In world history, you've seen revolution when that happens. In Silicon Valley, you have 19 billionaires who have 12% of the economy. So what I'm saying is, if America has been good to you, if America has been good to you, you can do good for America. You can pay a little bit of tax so people have health care, child care, a living wage.
And they do. I know plenty of billionaires. All they do is spend money. Hey, I know plenty of billionaires. All they do is spend money on health care.
Do you not believe that we have a wealth?
Hospitals. They send money to education. They spend money on the arts. They send all their money, and they send all their money to all of these nonprofits. I know plenty of billionaires that do just that.
But they have an obligation to pay some tax so that we can have public goods of healthcare, childcare, and education.
They pay the majority of it.
But they're not.
The rich pay the majority of the tax in this country.
Warren Buffett has said.
No, you're mixing up words. That's not true. He was talking about capital gains tax.
Let me just finish.
I know exactly what Warren Buffett said.
Why is capital gains?
was talking about capital gains taxes. He was not talking about income taxes. I know
but
exactly
he's saying
what Warren
he pays
Buffett
less
said.
tax.
No, because
he
he's
pays
not
less
paying
tax
a
than his
salary.
teachers.
He's not getting a salary. He's not getting income.
And that's most of the billionaires.
All stock.
And that's most of the billionaires in this country. It's not fair.
You're mixing up taxes.
Right.
I know all about taxes. Don't try it. You're mixing up taxes. You got capital gains tax and you got income state tax.
Yeah, so would you agree that we shouldn't have, in this kind of wealth inequality in an AI world, which is capital biased, that we shouldn't have millionaires plus having less rates on capital gains than someone who's a teacher or a farmer or a machinist is paying on their W-2s?
I don't want to crush investment. I want people to encourage. I want people to feel encouraged to buy and invest into the markets and put it in their 401k. The way to create wealth overall long-term is to invest in the stock market. That's 100%, I believe that. The way to long-term wealth creation...
Yeah, but 50% of people don't do that.
They do it in their 401k plans. More people than you know are invested in equities.
And then Ro Khanna posted his own clip from his appearance. I went on Mornings with Maria Bartiromo on Fox to make the case for ending the war in Iran that is devastating our economy. It's why food, gas, credit card rates, and mortgages are all up. Let's put American workers over foreign entanglements. Ro Khanna is a superstar. Here, play this clip.
But I mean, how much pressure can you put on this president at this point? I mean, you are just voting on everything against the president. The Democrats can't stand President Trump. Do you see a time to start working together?
Absolutely. But, one of the things the president should do is end this war. I mean, 3 Republicans voted with us to end the war. Here's why the war is really hurting us. You talked about the Fed not cutting rates. Part of the reason they can't cut rates is because of the war and prices. And what does that mean? Higher mortgages, higher credit card interest rates, higher student loans. And then you see the cost of food and the cost of gas and the cost of farmers of urea, ammonia, and nitrogen and their fertilizers. Let's end this war to bring down prices.
Then you had Ro Khanna fact-checking Maria Bartiromo to her face. Let's watch this right here.
But of course, we did litigate this, and we already went through this before, that President Obama actually sent Iran money, as opposed to actually President Trump trying to stop them from having a nuclear weapon. But I want to get your take on what China said, because the president is making news right now. He just spoke on Air Force One to reporters, and he said that China agreed to buy 200 Boeing planes with the potential commitment of buying 750 jets. He also said that China agreed to buy soybeans, and he said that he would consider lifting sanctions on Chinese companies purchasing oil, but no decision has been made yet. Now, the president said that he did get a commitment from Xi Jinping that China would buy oil from America. We don't know if they're going to keep that promise, but he said they're going to send Chinese ships to Louisiana and Texas to buy American oil. And then on Taiwan, there were other things said, but let me get your take on those deals right now. What is your assessment of this trip?
Sure. I just have to say, for the record, my view is that President Obama didn't give money to Iran. He unfroze Iranian assets, but we can have that conversation some other time. Let me say on Boeing, I'm glad that China is buying the Boeing planes, but they're only buying...
But Congressman, wait, why unfreeze assets? Why give Iran, the leading state sponsor of terrorists, $2 billion so that they could go give that money to the proxies that they support, like Hezbollah and Hamas? Why unfreeze money?
It was Iranian money that was unfrozen for 97% of enriched uranium to get out of the country. Right. President Trump tore that deal up. Now there's tons of enriched uranium.
They never made a commitment
and the reality
to stop building a weapon. So why send them $1.7 billion when you didn't even have a commitment to stop building a weapon? You yourself said you don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
Well, just so we're factual, he didn't send them money. It was their money that was unfrozen. I acknowledge it was unfrozen.
It doesn't matter. Why unfreeze
what we got out of it is...
You say it was their money. Other people say it wasn't their money. It was stolen money. But that's fine. Let's say it is their money. Why unfreeze the money? That you never got a commitment that they would stop building a nuclear weapon. Why are you sending them $1.7 billion so that they could go give it to Hamas?
He got a commitment for 15 years, 97% of enriched uranium out. Instead, what did we get? We had them having 60% enriched uranium when Trump tore up the deal. We had 13 American service members dead. We have Americans paying $4 at gas. We have food prices. Let me just finish, Maria. Let me finish, please.
Are you talking about the botched exit from Afghanistan? When
that has nothing to do with Iran.
That was Joe Biden.
The botch exit.
That was Joe Biden.
That was... But look at the facts here. Because Trump tore up the deal, Americans are dead. Americans are paying more for food. Americans are paying more for gas.
And then Ro Khanna laid out more of Iran's cost. And again, this is just pitch perfect right here. Let's play this clip.
But look at the facts here. Because Trump tore up the deal, Americans are dead. Americans are paying more for food. Americans are paying more for gas. The Strait of Hormuz is less secure. No. And the war is unpopular. 70% of Americans don't want this war. Even Republicans are defecting.
But nobody wants war, but we also don't want a nuclear terrorist.
Let's talk about China.
We don't want a nuclear terrorist to have a nuclear weapon, okay? We don't want a terrorist.
And Obama was on the road to achieving that.
No way. He didn't achieve anything. Obama did squat.
We can talk about...
Obama did squat.
That's not true. Come on.
He unfroze all that money. Look, let's get to Taiwan. He unfroze the money. He gave the money to Iran. What did they do with the money? They gave it to Hamas, Hezbollah, and then they committed atrocities on Israel.
He should have built on the JCPOA instead of ripping it up and getting us into war. He promised us no wars, and he didn't want to go into this war.
So in other words, you trust Iran. In other words, you trust Iran.
No, I don't.
You think Iran's going to keep their promises.
I like the Trump who was running in 16 and 20 and 24 saying, I don't want more wars. I don't want Americans dying in these wars. I don't want Americans paying for Iran. And who cared more about Toledo than Tehran? I mean, how about building our manufacturing, investing in our people instead of getting in these foreign wars?
And then as you had lots of Trump sycophants and MAGA Republicans attacking Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie, you had far right Republican Ann Coulter posted the following. It's good to post without having any idea why Representative Ro Khanna might respect Thomas Massie. They wrote the law that compelled the release of the Epstein files, aka a Trump campaign promise. After ignoring the Epstein case from 2006 to 2018, the New York Times coverage of the files has been sterling, holding several teen girl diddlers to account, leading to forced resignations, tens of millions of dollars in forfeited compensation, lifetime financial industry bans, lawsuits, not to mention public humiliation and ostracism. That's why Khanna and the New York Times respect Massie, you complete shit for brains, waste of protoplasm, defender of teen sex abuse. And it's one of these right-wing accounts that said, look at all the free PR that mainstream media is giving to Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie. And I'll just give a hat tip to Ro Khanna for posting this from Bernie Sanders. Right? Let me just leave you with this because Ro Khanna reposted this. And when I talk about oligarchy, I'm not just referencing the extraordinary concentration of ownership in our economy. I'm not just talking about the unprecedented level of income and wealth inequality or the increased billionaire control of our media. I'm talking about how the very, very rich and their super PACs are now buying our political system and undermining the very foundation of American democracy. In the 2024 election, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, spent at least $290 million to elect Trump. In that campaign, the 100 richest people in the country spent $2.6 billion to elect the candidates of their choice. And now as we enter the 2026 elections, we're seeing billionaires spend far more money in a midterm election than any time in history. It is estimated that super PACs from the AI industry, crypto APAC, and other special interests could spend billions of dollars to elect senators and members of Congress who represent their interests. You as a citizen get one vote. They as oligarchs get to buy the candidates. That's not democracy. That's the government of the United States becoming a wholly owned subsidiary of the billionaire class, of the Epstein class, I would say. If we're going to create a government that works for all and not just the 1%, we have to end Citizens United, get super PACs out of elections, and move to the public funding of elections. Amen. There you have it. Ro Khanna reposted that. So I wanted to share that with you. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.